Hello friends, we are discussing IELTS Writing Task 1 today. There is a bar graph in question. First we look at the question. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. The bar graph below shows the total number of minutes in billions of telephone calls in Australia divided into 3 categories from 2001 to 2008. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. So as we see in the bar graph, there are 3 bars for 3 categories of telephone calls. The blue bar is for calling minutes of local calls, the yellow bar for national and international calls, and the red bar for mobile calls. On the x-axis, we have the corresponding years for which the calling data is displayed. As we can see here, the calling minutes are in billions. So now let's move on to our answer. The first paragraph is the introduction, wherein we will paraphrase the question statement in our own words. The bar graph depicts calling minutes in billions of 3 kinds of calls made by Australian students between year 2001 and 2008. And now comes the most important paragraph, and that is the overview paragraph. In this paragraph, we will group our findings and then report main features and comparisons. With this paragraph, the examiner comes to know that the candidate has understood the graph, and after this only the fine details will remain. Mobile calls are seen to steadily build its base in the early years. Thereafter, a dramatic rise is reflected during the last 3 years. Local calls were popular in the initial years but probably lost ground to mobile calls through the later years. National and international calls rose gradually throughout, although the growth slowed in the last year. So herein we have made 3 groups from this graph. One is the mobile calls, second the local calls, and third the national and international calls. And here we explain the trend in all the 3 groups. Next, we provide the fine details of our findings in 3 different paragraphs representing 3 groups. First is the local fixed line group. Local fixed line calls were the highest all over the period, rising from 72 billion minutes in 2001 to 90 billion in 2005, when it reached its peak. Subsequently, calls fell back to 2001 levels by 2008. Now the second group, the national and international calls. National and international calls grew steadily from 38 billion to 60 billion till 2007, giving an average growth of 3.6 billion minutes per year. However, illustrating a significant dip in the growth rate by adding just 1 billion minutes in the last year, the growth slumped and calling time finally ended at 61 billion minutes. Now the third and the last group, and that is the mobile calls. There was a dramatic increase in mobile calls from 2 billion to 46 billion minutes over the period. The rise was particularly noticeable between 2005 and 2008, during which time the use of mobile phones tripled. So that's it. Hope you like the report. Feel free to put in any comments or questions, and be tuned for more such reports.